recorder. Okay, why don't you begin, Andrea and Emma? Go ahead.
Yeah, we know that these they need different kind of children for different kind of programming. So that most of them are programmed like the normal slaves, the people that go to work, the people that don't stand up for their rights, and but the real torturing and real abusive programming has to start with children that are not older than 3 years old, because as younger they are, it's better to program them to get splitted personalities that they can program even further. So when you want to point your fingers on the leaders, like for Germany it's Merkel or it's Obama, you can't even make them responsible because we think they are programmed as children themselves. So they went to unbelievable torture programs to get splitted personalities so that they become the artificial psychopaths that they are right now. So the one program is to create artificial psychopaths. So it's like they try to get their counterparts to create a whole psychopath generation and a slave generation. And they found out that through ritual abuse, so when they torture these children, so it's covered up like, oh, there are just a few people doing some strange things, like they sacrifice the children for Satan or something. No, this is not the point. They take the children because they found out that through sexual abuse they can children get their personalities get splitted much more easy, and they split more, even more personalities. And then they let a lot of people participate in this kind of ritual so that the children knows there is no escape from it. They cannot talk about it. Everyone is involved, so that they will never go somewhere and try to seek for some help, because they learn everyone is looking at it. No one is helping us. And then sometimes they send those people that are involved in the rituals. They send them. They stay in front of their house or something, so that the children know we are all here, we are watching you, there is no escape from it. Some parents that are already involved in this system, they bring their children for free, because they tell them, like, if you want your child to become a great leader, if you want to get wealthy, so bring us your child, we will program them, and everything will be good and for you. Otherwise your child has to suffer much more. So some are willingly bringing their children, but they are looking for special children as well, and they need children to cover up their story. So they need thousands of children that end up in homes for children, that they take out of their families, because they say, oh, family is not good for children. The state has to take care of the children. And they want to make us believe that the children doesn't belong to their parents. Now they belong to the states. And they even changed the law. A lot of countries changed the law, so the children officially belong to the state, so they can do whatever they like. So they take these children, bring them to special homes of children, so that everyone is just looking for their children and forget to look to the other children, because they are so busy with trying to help their children. And there are some other children that will be sent to the pedophile scene, because they let them do what they do. Everyone is wondering why they don't stop them. No, they let them do it to cover the deep programming that is going on. So, and they are looking for special, highly sensitive and spiritual children as well. the high intelligent children, they take them to create politicians. Some are they take to create terrorist assassins, MK Ultra. But the high spiritual children, they take them, what we think, to for human experimentations. They want to understand more about the humans, that they are not only like a body, they content of a soul and a spirit as well. So they really want to investigate deeper the human soul as well. And they it seems that they are doing some kind of karma transferring rituals. I mean, we have a German word for it. We found it, but it's hard to explain in English. So um, some whistleblower, of course, they say like, oh, it's all your karma, you have to fulfill your karma, or you have to change your karma, something like this. But it's not like that. Maybe we really have to think about what if there's a psychopath species or another species like the Homo capensis, whoever, that are making some kind of rituals to get their guilt, to bring their guilt to those innocent children. Like they want to change their karma and put it to someone else so that they can do what they are doing since centuries without getting get punishment from a higher source, or to get responsible for what they are doing. So some kind of rituals are not satanic rituals. They are actually rituals to transfer karma as well. And this is something they can do with the highly spiritual children they are looking for as well. Um, to cover it up, of course, we have a very good example. When you go back to the Nazis, they did this. I mean, it was officially, but they say it was unofficially, but everyone knows about it. And they did their human experimentations that were so pervert, so that everyone need to ask themselves why they're doing it, why they are stitching twins together and all the pervert things that they did. It was just even a cover up, so that people say, oh, they're all crazy, we don't need to investigate any deeper. So this is the main reason. The main reason what we see so far, what people are able to see, is just a cover up. And we think that grown-ups now are also highly programmed already through trauma, because every trauma-based mind control program goes through trauma, that they can't can't see the real topic here, even when they want to. So we hope that we can find some people that are not so highly programmed, or maybe can get deprogrammed to see what they are doing to the children, and they do it for such a long time. But there are always peaks when they take a lot of children. So right now we are in a very high peak again. And if we cannot free the children, if we cannot focus on the children, I mean, mankind will be destroyed. Humanity will be destroyed as we know it right now, or the last what is remaining. It will be completely destroyed because the next generation is even more highly programmed, and they are artificial psychopaths already. So when they send out those children that are programmed as assassins, as politicians, as terrorists, I mean, you can imagine what is going on then. And they need to be stopped, but they can only be stopped if we free the children.
Very good.
Andreas, is there something
Hmm?
you want to add? Is there
No,
something you need?
no, you mentioned everything we talked about. It's perfect. Thank you.
I want to say something about Homo capensis. Homo
Yes.
capensis is the one described by Robert Broom in about 1919 in a paper. I think the American Academy of New York Academy of Science, something like that. I've got the paper. I think I sent it to you. But there is
Yes.
another species which I think is really in charge. Homo capensis is probably the dumb one. Brain is 30% larger. Uh, Lynch and Granger estimated the average IQ at 149, 10 to 15% of the population at 180 or greater. I think that's the dumb one. We have the large cone heads, and with these, the orbits or the eyes are 20% larger. Um, the skulls are very thick. The brain size is more than 30% larger. I don't know exactly. It looks like it's 50, even approaching, 80, 100%. They have occipital foramen high in the occipital region. The dentition is remarkable. And they have big incisors and canines, ripping flesh, but they have few or no molars, which of course we use for chewing grain. I think that this large brain conehead is the dominant species, and that Homo capensis, which is the only one who's really been studied by a professional, by Robert Broom, is really talked about primarily to screen the large coneheads. And actually, there was a Saturday Night Live program with, let's see, um, where they talked about the coneheads. This was on television. It was pretty funny, but they made them as these sort of innocent things. This was Dan Aykroyd and Aldar or something like that. I think that whole program was there to put us at ease regarding things with large cone heads. Um, that's really what I wanted to say. That we don't want to fixate too much on Homo capensis because there's something beyond that. I don't know how many species there are. There are at least two, Homo capensis and the large conehead. And there seems to be some variation in the shape of the conehead, and I don't know if that's been due to shaping in infancy or what. But there are actually in Peru, some of these conehead skulls have skin and hair attached still, red hair. So DNA can be done, and it's not done. The establishment does not study this stuff. That's evidence right there. None of this. The maps of the Earth, Ice Age maps, are not talked about. The whole business is hushed up. The undersea megalithic structures that are there, the establishment will say, "Oh, the ocean did that. The ocean created steps or stuff like this." But sea level rose by 120 meters approximately at the end of the Ice Age, and it was a tremendous turmoil at that point. And it's pretty clear that the large brain hominids, if this theory is holds up, and I think it does, lost control during this tremendous upheaval that swept the Earth. I mean, there were volcanoes everywhere due to the loss of enormous decrease in weight on the continent. One description was that the rain was black; it was perpetual twilight. So it would look like the large brain hominids had dominated the Earth during the Ice Age, mapped the whole thing. They knew spherical trigonometry, or somebody knew spherical trigonometry, and then control was lost during the glacial meltdown, which began on the order of 17,000 years ago. And there was a younger Dryas phenomenon as the melting took place. There was a comet strike over North America, and the ice age resumed for about 1,000 years or so. So it was a real uproar, and it looks to me like that's when Homo sapiens got away, and that the dominant species went underground, so to speak, and actually underground because they weren't popular. And in in Peru, there's a killing field. Ian Foster sent me this, an area where large brain creatures were killed and thrown into the ground. And I think that's evidence that they weren't all that popular. That's really what I wanted to say.
And I think it's important to say that everyone is talking about a new world war. But I think, in my opinion, we are already on war. On war. Um, Mankind is already attacked. It doesn't matter if you throw bombs on people's head, because if they throw chemtrails, I mean, they poison us by food, by vaccinations, and they send alpha waves. They work with frequencies, so we are already under attack, and they kidnap our children.
I agree. I agree.
So I mean, if another species is coming and they kidnap your children, they program your children, they torture your children, what else do we need to realize that we are under attack right now?
But we have to realize that we're experiencing mind controlled signals and we don't recognize them. And I think a lot of the
Exactly.
targeted individual stuff is just to make people be distracted. If somebody complains of something happening to their head, they are accused of being crazy right now. And I think the real thing that's being hidden is a mind control signal, which changes our opinions, what we think, what we realize is important. Because most people seem to just only uh, deal with the here and now, whatever that is. What's right in front of them right now, and don't think in terms of depth and time and history.
And the children are under, even the normal children, what we think they are safe, they are not, because they are under kind of light programming already through early sexuality programs like the gender programs, through vaccination. The television is highly sexual now. This is nothing for children. This is traumatizing children already. So they produce a lot of trauma, what we think is normal. When you look to the Asian countries, I had a talk with someone who asked me, "Is it true that you separate children from the rest of the family?" And I was surprised. I said, "Why?" And they said, "We heard that you put your children in different rooms, you separate them from the rest of the family, and you put them in beds behind bars." And don't so you make it impossible for them to join the rest of the family. And they say this is awful, this is torturing of children, and I think they are right. They make us believe that something they told us is good for our children is actually a programming of children already, and we don't realize it and we don't do anything against it.
Right. And who? Where are the children behind bars? Where is this? In
They say they're behind bars, they mean the special children beds.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, the small children they are put in beds behind bars. That's what they mean. I mean, it sounds a little bit strange, but that's how they described them. They said you put them in bed behind bars. So this is what they mean, the cradles where they put the children, and that they say the children need their own space, they need their own room where they have to sleep. But they say it's not normal to separate them. They asked me, what did the children do to the rest of the family that they are not allowed to join the family, that they have to stay in another room separated from the rest of the family? And this was actually a good point. Or that we bring our children for vaccination even when we know it's poisoning them because we think we are doing something good. But this is not the
right.
point, this is not the case. And for the early sexual education programs that they are running, they traumatize the children as well.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think that's it. We'll end it then. Just for convenience, and this is the second segment of Mini. Good night and thank you,
Yes.
Tim.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.